Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of League Chat with the Stat. Thank you for joining me again on another great episode this week, covering all things from State of Origin 3. Still can't believe we lost, but we're going to get right into that. I'm going to recap everything round 18, go through all the latest news like we usually do. There's some big news happening, so you've got to stay tuned for that. And we're going to go everything, talk about all things round 19, the ins, outs, and whereabouts. So looking forward to this one, guys. Thank you again, once again, for joining me on another great episode this week. Wanting to cover first the State of Origin series. Obviously, the Blues won the series 2-1. In the third game, the Maroons 20 defeated the Blues 18. Now, you've got to talk about the Maroons here and give them credit for a decent performance. I think they really turned up, and it was the changes that they made in their squad. When you look at the players in their squad, from fullback Callum Ponga, the impact that he made, talking from the back, it's actually working up in the defensive line, work the treat. Hamilton Tabuai-Fidow on debut, really making a proper stand there in the Origin arena and keeping Turbo relatively quiet when the opportunities that Turbo had there. The halves really stepped up. I thought Daly Cherry-Evans played a lot better and had a better kicking game and applied a lot of pressure to the New South Wales side. And I just thought the forwards lifted, but my player of that game was Ben Hunt. I thought he was just phenomenal in the number 9 jersey. I've been pushing for Ben Hunt in the number 9 jersey for Dragons for a very long time. I think he is a better hooker than he is a halfback. And seeing the impact that all the players had, especially in the front row, I thought Kurt Capewell played decent, moving from centre to second row. Not really much of a difference in that role there. And I thought Moriaki Fotuaika, Francis Molo, Tom Flegler off the bench, and AJ Brimson having to fill in at centres for Valentine Holmes, who injured his shoulder. I thought they all came and made a very big impact in that side and did well enough to hold out the New South Wales side. New South Wales, the worst game of the series by far. And I'll be honest when I say that, I genuinely thought that we lost the game. Sorry, the series. Not the game. We did lose the game. But I genuinely felt like we lost the series from that loss. There was big expectation for us to go out and demoralise Queensland. There was a big expectation after beating them the first 2 games, 76 points to 6, that we'd go out game 3 and we would put on an absolute clinic. And that wasn't to be. And I'll pinpoint the reasons why. Now, first things first, you've got to realise that, there was a lot of early ball not given to Tom Trbojevic for him to be able to have done what he's done in the first 2 games and to replicate that effort. The halves were very poor. And I knew that was a big concern leading into the game. I was very against having Wyden at 6 and Moses at 7. I thought Cody Walker and Adam Reynolds would be better to do the job. And with the combination they have with Latrell already and Damien Cook, I thought it just made more sense. Jack Wyden showed in that game that he's quite the hog. And I just thought that we didn't get to see a proper Jack Wyden. I thought he was really poor. He hasn't had a great year, to be honest. For someone who's rated that EM, I thought this would be a game where he'd really step up and own that 6 jersey. But I thought he didn't really aim up to. He scored a try. He did what he could in that regard. I just didn't think it was anything better than okay. It wasn't enough to fool the Queenslanders. Every dummy he threw, they read it, apart from the try. And I thought Mitch Moses was, again, I've been calling it for a while. I just didn't think he was that good. For someone who's had a decent running game, for their club and has made a few line breaks this season, and the way he's broken through the line, I thought he'd be able to use that a little bit in Origin. He made no runs. No runs. He didn't make a single run. He didn't. Every time he got the ball, he gave it to a forward or he just gave it to Jack Wyden for him to do something with it. There wasn't enough early ball going to Tom Trbojevic or Latrell. When we got the early ball to Latrell, he went and made something out of it and scored. But then our defense was just very flimsy. We didn't utilise, Adokar that much. Doyle was another a beast again. Another 200 odd metres he gained in that game. But it was a lack of direction in the halves from New South Wales that really let the state down, I'll be honest. Delphinuka coming in at prop, he did okay. I would have gone Payne Haas to come off the bench into the starting side. It just wasn't to be. We didn't play it as well as we needed to. Yeah, we won the series, but after watching the game, I genuinely thought we lost it. And it's just very disappointing that we ended off our Origin campaign the way we did. Because now it's given a big morale boost for Queensland to keep a similar side heading into next year. But we need to be better. We need to have our first halves there, with Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary. With the way they've been playing this year, obviously them being injured, had an impact there. But Cody Walker and Adam Reynolds would have done a far better job than what Jack Wyden and Mitch Moses coughed up. And you had a lot of people come over and defending Mitch Moses. I don't see where he went well. And it's hard for me to sit there and say he would have a good game. A lot of people think I absolutely hate Mitch Moses. I don't. I spent some time with him in Lebanon when we went holidaying back in 2018, and he's a champion guy. But I think everyone just puts him on such a pedestal that I don't think he belongs in. And everyone's got him in the highest regard that I don't see how people see that. It's more of just in terms of his ability. He's coughing up the next 4 years of Para salary cap of 930 grand a year, which is ridiculous money, and good luck to Para. But I just thought that it felt like Freddie just owed Moses a favour and put him in the starting side, which I thought was poor. Not enough ball to Trebojevic. That really didn't help. But I felt like at times he just got involved and at times he just didn't. We saw with about 8 to go or 10 to go where he made that break down the middle and he called something, he tried to do something, and then he passed the ball to Tedesco, which Ponga brilliant to read and to stop the play there. And that was the big talking point from the game, apart from, the Troll versus Gagai and all these little rivalries here and there. It was the decision to go for 2. I had to sit there for a few days and I had to just kind of take it all in. And I had to realise, was this really the plan all along? Was this really how they wanted to go about it? The fact that we took a kick 50 out did more than just show that we couldn't score points. We lacked confidence. It showed that we don't have faith in the team that was on the field to go and score another try. We could score 18, but there was just not enough. There was not enough, how do I put it? Just not enough commitment and confidence in the side. It just felt like, go for 2. It's the safest option from 50 out. We know the Trolls got a big boot on him, and he made a fair attempt of it. It's not like he shanked it. He made a very fair attempt at it, but it just shows the lack of confidence in that side. For a side that scored 76 points thus far in the series, and then we ended up at 94 for the series. Like, we can score points. But they just showed the lack of confidence that the New South Wales had in their side to do anything with the defence that Queensland turned up and played with. So I thought that was very poor. Congratulations to Queensland for winning that game. Although we've won this series, and it's another successful series to an extent under our belt, I just think that we could have gone for that clean sweep. And if Philo was a bit more serious about it, he wouldn't have just been handing out favours to players. If he really wanted that clean sweep, he would have put in the right players. But it wasn't to be. Queensland got the win on Game 3 on Wednesday night, and it was a good performance from them, just to get a bit of love back from the Queensland faithful, who were booing them at different stages of the game, and even when they ran on to train, just booing them, which was really, really funny to watch from a New South Wales fan, but really sad, just to see how poor they've been and to turn it around. And look, good on them. I'll give full credit to Queensland there. Now, moving into everything round 18, the Eels 26 defeated the Titans 8. And you could see how fresh Para came out from that bye. The Eels would just look so fresh, so dominant. With everyone moving into their different hubs, it feels like it's like a brand new competition. And having looked at the way Eels played, I thought they were very good in that first half. They put on such a clinical performance in that first half. I thought they really sold it, and I thought they did so well in that game to really control the Titans and make sure that they were always on the back foot. On the Titans, again, they were really inconsistent side. And there's a reason why they're languishing near the bottom of the ladder. Because without the Origin players the week before, they seem to have pulled on an absolute masterclass and pulled out a great win. To get their reinforcements back and then to lose the amount by the way they lost and playing at home, it's very disappointing. There is a lot of deadwood in their side that they really need to get rid of. A lot of deadwood in that side. As we look at that side, you see that there's a lot of kids that are good potentials that are coming through, like Greg Elisueo or Greg Marzu. They've got good signings that have come through in the side. They've got Fail Sumila Albion for Feeder and Isaac Liu for next year. They've got a great fullback, but there's just a couple positions where they're not, where they need to get rid of. Like, they need a brand new hooker. I feel like their hookers at the moment aren't really the best and for what they're trying to deliver and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to create there. I think that, with all that being said though, it was just another poor performance from them. And it was really sad to see them put that up in front of their home crowd. Well, Nathan Brown absolutely demoralised the Titans for the Eels. 23 runs, 192 metres, a line break assist, 3 tackle breaks, offload 35 tackles. Special mention to Ryan Madison, who scored a brilliant try and had a brilliant game. I thought it was one of his better games in recent memory. Having a bit of a tough year in regards to missing about 4 or 5 weeks due to those concussions, it was really good to see him put out a very good 8-minute effort the way he did on Friday night. The Seagulls 32 defeated the Dragons 18, and I'm going to give credit to the Seagulls. They were fantastic. I thought they played really, really well, stepping up without Daly Cherry Evans and Jake and Tom Trebojevic being rested and injured, respectively, there, I thought that the players that came back into the side really had a massive impact. I thought that Josh Schuster playing in at 6, partnering with Foran, was absolutely fantastic. I don't know if Schuster didn't play. I don't know if they'd win that game. I'll be quite honest. Like, he was instrumental for that side. He just created everything. He's a big boy, big body, and the way he played was just fantastic. Really led that side and really had Dragons on the back foot for the majority of that game. But the Dragons, they were horrible. You know, for a team that really needed to come out and prove to a lot of the people there as to why they have been talked about so much in regards to the incident with Paul Vaughan's barbecue, to come out and to dish out the game that they dished out was very poor. They made 45 missed tackles and 14 errors. And they needed to come out and prove a point that this is a new hub, it's a new feel. We need to work hard. We need to put in the effort. And they got rolled by a Sea Eagles side that didn't have 3 of their best players. Very tough to be a Dragons fan at the moment, if I'm really honest with you. Josh Schuster, as I mentioned earlier, 13 runs, 120 metres, 2 line breaks, 8 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, 20 tackles. Instrumental. And Hamole Olakauatu, who has been fantastic for the Seagulls in the last 6 to 8 weeks. 12 runs, 120 metres, a try, a line break assist, a try assist, 5 tackle breaks, offload, 24 tackles. A complete performance there from Hamole. Very, very good performance. He's been putting in some fantastic games for the Seagulls in recent times, and he has earned himself that starting spot as opposed to him coming off fringe off the bench. The Roosters 34 defeated the Cowboys 18. Roosters again got off to a very slow start. Cowboys again got off to a quick start and then faded out. While the Roosters, once they had their chances, they took their chances straight away. I thought Angus Crichton was their best player for the Roosters. I thought he was instrumental. Sam Walker had another great game. But the Cowboys just faded out once again. And I don't know what it is. And I don't know why they continually fade out in games. But they just fade out. And once they dip in that confidence, it just dips. Conceding another 30 points on top of that, by the way, is not helping their case. They've conceded around 30, on average in the last 8 or 9 games, they've conceded about 30 to 40 points. It's very poor. Very, very poor. And I thought this would be the game where Cowboys could really turn it around. Missing Val Holmes, obviously, is big there. I thought Hamza Tabuai for that fullback, I thought it was very good. I thought he played a very good role. I thought his speed, just the way he broke through the line and just got through half the players at times was fantastic. But they needed a lot of experience in that side. They keep underutilising Jason Taumalolo and playing him for 40 minutes a game or 50 minutes a game. You've got him on $1 million a season. If he can play that 80 minutes, play him that 80 minutes. He's got to be playing consistently. The second he comes off the field, the Cowboys are lost. There's no direction. There's no leadership from anyone. No one's willing to do the dirty work. No one's talking except Taumalolo. Very poor. And the Roosters just capitalised on that and got off to a better start in the second half and then just ran away with that game. Angus Crichton, 19 runs, 174 metres, a try, line break assist, 28 tackles. Off the bench in a 50-minute performance. And I thought he was phenomenal. He took the form from 3 days before in Origin and brought it straight back into the club when they needed him. Phenomenal. He's probably one of the best second rows in the game right now. And he's just doing absolute work there for the Roosters. Raiders 34 defeated the Sharks 18. Again, the same scoreline, just with 2 different sides. A much better performance from the Raiders. Hopefully that this is a change in what they're trying to do to keep heading towards the top 8. They're starting to find that form that had them as a potential grand finalist team. A team that will make the grand final. I thought that they started to play some very good footy. They were a lot more confident. And whatever Ricky Shaw has done has gotten it to work. He's found the problem and he's starting to get it to work. And hopefully against the Eagles on Thursday night, he can look to do something like that again and pull off a big upset. But for the Sharks, on the other hand, they missed 60 tackles. That is ridiculous. And with all due respect to the Raiders, they missed 60 tackles, 10, 12 errors. Really not good enough. Again, shows why the Sharks aren't at where they need to be near the top because of their inconsistency. So poor. And Sean Johnson, this was probably one of the quietest games I've ever seen him play. Very quiet. Didn't take a run, missed about 9 tackles, made a couple errors. A very unlike Sean Johnson performance. I'm not sure whether it's because he's already set on going to the Warriors next year, but he's still got a job to do. He's the only capable half to do it there at this present time. They've got Moreland, who's out injured. They've got Trindle, who I think may have not played that game or came off the bench. He's the leader. He needs to step up. He still needs to show the Warriors why they signed him for 2 years. But with a performance like that, I thought it was really, really poor. And I'm hoping he bounces back against the Bulldogs this week because, yeah, he was just way too poor and way too quiet. Corey Haru-Onara, 14 runs, 146 metres, 13 tackle breaks, 7 offloads, and 30 tackles. Can I say I miss him at the Bulldogs? I really, really miss that guy at the Dogs. And what he used to bring and just the impact he used to have on the field, he's playing some of his best football. And credit to Ricky Short for revitalising his career and for him to take it sort of serious. But he's producing some big games, like 13 tackle breaks, 7 offloads. That's just big. Always creating opportunities, showing that he's a big body in attack, putting his body on the line, 30 tackles in defence. I mean, him dishing out 80 minutes every week, he's probably one of the only players in that side that deserves to play 80 minutes every week and to keep their spot. A lot of them just keep getting shuffled around because they're too inconsistent, but he's been phenomenal for him. Storm 48 defeated the Knights 4. I can't really say much about the Storm. They're 14 in a row. I can sit in, I can talk every week, but they are just the benchmark. The thing with this is that they keep putting teams away so comfortably. It's like they don't put in a lot of effort to put away a lot of these teams. They're unstoppable. They're literally unstoppable. I would love for them to go and get to the grand final and win because they are just killing it at the moment. Killing it. The Knights were woeful. Again, a very disappointing performance from the Knights. Adam O'Brien comes out and blames, we didn't take a day off on the right day. And come on, man. Really? That's your excuse? Ponga came off just to get a bit of rest. You guys were down 30-0 at halftime. I personally think that Adam O'Brien was there to really try to defend the players. But you can't defend the players after 48-4. You can't. They got smacked. Again, missing Pearce through that hamstring injury didn't help either. Still missing Bradman Best, but mate, 48-4, still not good enough. Regardless if we didn't get them in their right training or they missed the right days, it's really poor effort from the coach, and he needs to turn them around extremely quickly. Nico Hines, mate, I don't know how the Storm are going to go without him next year. And I know they've got Pappenhausen. My concern is that with this long concussion layoff, that it could potentially happen again, and I don't want to hear or see that. But 23 runs, 226 metres, a try, 8 from 8 conversions, a line break, 3 line break assists, 2 try assists, 4 tackle breaks, and an offload. He's unstoppable, isn't he? It's like he's picked up where Pappenhausen left off. It didn't take him long. He shot off the block straight away. But Pappenhausen named this week on the bench, it really shows just how well Nico Hines has been really going. And it's a credit to Nico Hines and credit to the Storm system there, just with the effort he's been putting in. He's going to be such an asset for the Sharks. I'm really excited to see how he goes there in the next few years. Panthers 30 defeated the Warriors 16, and Panthers got the job done. It was decent. They got off to a very slow start. I thought Warriors shot off the blocks really well, but they just managed to put the Warriors away just due to Warriors having no players left on the field. On the bench. I am not going to sit here and discredit the Warriors in this performance. I thought they were exceptional. They lost 4 players in the space of 15 minutes. They lost Roger Tuivasa-Sheck to concussion, Tohu Harris to an ACL injury, season-ending ACL injury, which is absolutely heartbreaking, Wade Egan to a shoulder problem, who's out also for the year, and Rocco Berry did his hamstring. They lost those 4 players in about 15 minutes. They entered the second half, no players on the bench. Mate, Adam Fanua-Blake put out massive numbers. Matt Lodge, big numbers to play 80 minutes. Fanua-Blake had to play 76 minutes. A lot of their players, the rest who was on the field, especially in the forward pack, had to play 80 minutes. Look at some of these numbers. Adam Fanua-Blake, 27 runs. So he's carried the whole team on his back this game. 257 metres. 123 post-contact metres. 5 tackle breaks, offload 32 tackles. Unbelievable. When he's on a roll, Adam Fanua-Blake, he's unstoppable and one of the best forwards in the competition, by far. James Fisher-Harris, 16 runs, 173 metres, 2 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, 28 tackles. Big performance from him. And I just love the effort the Warriors put in to really play for each other that game. I admire it. Any team that loses 4 players into the second half and have no interchange, the scoreline doesn't do it justice. It looks like the Panthers actually put on a gun performance, but they didn't play too well. They did enough to hold off, but the Warriors, they were dead. Their forwards didn't get. There was no rotation of the forwards. So full credit to the Warriors. I'm not going to sit here and dish out their performance and say anything bad. They were fantastic. Yeah, towards the end they let in 2 tries, but do you blame them? They were that fatigued, they were that done. Mate, fair effort to them. Tigers 42 defeated the Broncos 24, and a really must-win game for the Tigers. And they went out after a very bad performance in the first half. They showed exactly what they are capable of. 36 points to 6 in the second half is very impressive. To be down 18-6 at half time and to put on a mark of 36 points in the second half is huge. The Broncos were very poor. For the first half, they played well. In their second half, it's as if everything they had worked up until that point, they just let it go. It was very poor. And they just let him go through the middle. They just let him eat up a lot of meters. I thought Adam Dwyer was absolutely sublime. I thought he just really controlled that game for the Tigers really well, and he exposed a lot of the holes in the Broncos' defense. But that try that Norfolk scored, come on. That second try, where the grubber went in, and then Corey Oates tried to hit the ball out, didn't go anywhere. Then Tissinu air swung, tried to kick the ball, was probably one of the most embarrassing plays of footy I've ever seen. For Norfolk to score that try, it's just ridiculous. Really they actually didn't need to score that try. It was very poor. Something about how the Broncos went that night, I can tell you that. Conceding 36 points in the second half, they're just weak. They have no backbone in that defense. How they can turn up for 1 game and they're not turning up for 7? They've got the side to do it. They put away the Sharks, who, they're inconsistent, but they're better than the Tigers. But credit to the Tigers, they got the win they needed, and hopefully this will be a game that they can learn off in that second half to be an upward trajectory for the rest of the season. Last game, Rabbitohs 32, the Bulldogs 24. And getting a little concerned with the Rabbitohs. And they got off to a quicker start. They put the Bulldogs on the back foot early on. And I just thought that almost losing to the Bulldogs doesn't show where the Rabbitohs are really at. It actually just shows me where they're at, because we're coming up now to the business end of the season, and this is probably all Wayne Bennett's plan, and I'm just falling for it. But they're scraping by a team like the Bulldogs, who are extremely poor. The Bulldogs were in control towards the end of that first half. I thought we got onto the back foot, and then we started to play some football, the football we know we can play. Bailey Biondo Odo, by the way, what a freak of nature off the bench. Freak. We better lock him up, because he's an exciting talent. But it all turned on its head when Lachlan Lewis decided to have a brain snap at halftime and get sin binned. Now, look, I don't agree with the sin bin. I think it was a stupid decision. You can't sin bin a guy for tackling someone after plays ended. He didn't punch him in the head. He didn't swear at him. He didn't do anything where he caused Walker to swing at him, or he just tackled him after the play, which is very stupid. I'm not defending Lachlan Lewis. I think it was very dumb, but I don't think sin bin was warranted either. But because of that sin bin, the Rabbitohs put on 8 points in those 10 minutes. And we lost 32-24. We lost by 8 points. I don't know why Lachlan Lewis did what he did, and I can't sit here and try to understand it. But had we got into the second half with all that momentum, it could potentially have been a different scoreline. Rabbitohs didn't play all that good. Again, it's just another game that the Bulldogs really could have won, and we didn't. And it's very frustrating. Very, very frustrating to say the least. Let's go to news around the NRL world. Jake Tobin has re-signed for a year at the Broncos, keeping him at the club to the end of 2022. The Bulldogs have received additional fines. Those Bulldogs players that went out to that pub crawl. Dylan Harper, Brendan Wakeham, Aaron Shop, Corey Waddell. Those players got done. Sonny Katoa, they all got done with additional fines after a board meeting between the players and the board. John Morris has signed on as a Rabbitohs assistant for next year for the next 2 years. Mitch Kenny has re-signed for a year at the Penrith Panthers. Adam Cook and Kai O'Donnell have been released by the Raiders effective immediately. They didn't travel up to with the team in Queensland, and they've been released from their contracts. Daniel and Jacob Saifidi have re-signed with the Knights on big contracts. Jacob has re-signed for 2 years, while Daniel's re-signed for 4 years. Good to see them keeping their two brothers at the over in Newcastle for an extended period of time. Holmel Hunt has re-signed for 2 years in another boost to the Knights backline there. Now, there was some talk about Eels considering Anthony Milford. I know that there are a couple of clubs that are starting to get pretty keen. The Eels, the Dragons, the Titans, and the Rabbitohs getting keen on Anthony Milford to see what he can offer in the business end of the season. Storm have been linked to Aaron Woods as well, so they're the third club to join in the race for Aaron Woods. Paul Vaughan is expected to finalise the deal with the Bulldogs by the end of this week. Hearing about a 3-year deal, $400,000 a season, which is an absolute bargain. And it'll be a very good signing for the Bulldogs. Tui Katoa has re-signed with the Bulldogs for another year, keeping up the club there to the end of next year as well. The Dragons have reopened negotiations with Moses Mbai for a potential mid-season switch before August 1, and to have him extended there till the end of next year as well. The Dragons, while we're on that topic, have also confirmed the signing of Jaden Sewer on a 3-year deal with $550,000 a season, which is a decent signing for them. Kate Ellis from the Dragons, Patrick Margot from the Rabbitohs, and Abbas Miski, who's currently in England, have all signed deals with the Wigan Warriors. They've all signed a 2 to 3 year deal to join the Wigan Warriors in the Super League. Jaden Okabor is with the Bulldogs, re-signed for 2 years. Callum Ponga will be taking up that option to remain at the Newcastle Knights for another 3 more years, willing him out to play for the All Blacks in the World Cup. The Cowboys have tabled a 3-year, $1.8 million deal to Dale Finucane. Well, there's about 8 other clubs in the race for him. Brisbane have dropped off. They don't have the appropriate funds to offer Dale Finucane very big money at this stage. The families are allowed to join the players in Queensland, which is really good to see. They can join the bubble. They have to quarantine for 14 days with their families before they can go and join their partners in the bubble. And the last bit of news, which has really excited me, and I'm very happy about this. I can't hold the smile off my face as I'm thinking about it. The Bulldogs have signed Phil Gould as their general manager of football, and let me just take a moment because this is so exciting. We're starting to get things right off the field. And where we've got the appropriate things now in place for us to be a force again. Steve Hansen, him working with the coaching staff and his input on what's going on is going to be beneficial now that we're going to be having a better team going into next year. And Phil Gould coming in to restructure our whole club is the best thing ever. He's got a massive association with the Bulldogs. He played for the Dogs. He coached them to a grand final. There was a bit of blood when he got sacked in 1989. But with the Andersons gone and there's no affiliation there, we have now gotten the right piece to the puzzle to sort out our whole club from the junior system up. And I think it's such an influential signing for the club because he will help us get back to our glory days. We've been so poor for so long. We've been through so much crap for so long. That he's going to come in and restructure everything, which means a lot of tough decisions will be made. But I'm excited for it because there's no one smarter in the game than Phil Gould right now. You got to look at what he's done for the Panthers. The Panthers aren't where they are without Phil Gould. They treat him like garbage and then they end up sacking him. But the Panthers now are reaping the rewards of Phil Gould. He's the one to take the credit for the way the Panthers have been going the last few years. He's the reason why their academy is so successful and why their junior systems are all flawless. 67 years ago, Bulldogs at one stage were coming first in Toyota Cup, New South Wales Cup, and in first grade. And then we signed Des Hasler, who obviously had Des Hasler at the time, and then we just stopped caring about our juniors. We let them go to all different clubs and thrive and be successful elsewhere. So he's going to come in and restructure our whole side, and it's phenomenal that he's coming back to the Kennel. He's coming back home. He's going to come back and with that passion he has for the Dogs, just to get to work, I can't wait. It's phenomenal. Off that, we've also confirmed the signing of Tevita Pangai Jr. for 3 years. Huge signing. He's going to go to Penrith to the end of the season. He's been given an immediate release from the Broncos. He'll join the Panthers immediately. James Fisher-Harris having to go back home to attend to the birth of his child. He'll be missing for a little bit, then to come back into the bubble to quarantine for 14 days. Panthers have shifted some funds around to sign Tevita Pangai Jr. for the rest of the year. If he goes and he gets to be part of a potential premiership winning side in the Panthers and brings that to the Dogs, that is so big for us. But it's the little pieces that are being put in place at the moment, which is why everything is such a good fit. And I'm really excited, and I'm loving what we're doing, and I'm loving the pieces we're finally putting in place, because we are going back to the top. And get ready, because you can't wipe the smile off my face, and I can't wait for what we're going to be doing next year. Let's talk about the round 19's ins, outs, and whereabouts. The Eagles are coming up against the Raiders on Thursday night. Blake Ferguson will take the spot of Hayes Dunster after getting recalled back into the side. Junior Paulo is back into the side with Neil Corey going to the bench and Bryce Cartwright going to the reserves. And Tom Opicic is out, replaced by the debutant in Will Penasini. The Raiders, Matt Foley will come in and replace Jack Wyden, who's got a rib injury. Xavier Savage is out for the season with a shoulder injury, replaced by Jordan Rapana, with Harley Smith-Shields going on to the wing. And Matt Tomoko will take the spot of Ryan James, who's been dropped from the side. Going to go the Eels this game. Even though they're still missing Mitch Moses with that back injury, I think they'll be able to do enough to play a better style of football. And the Raiders will miss Wyden. And the way Xavier Savage played last week, they're definitely going to miss that off the back as well. So going to go Eels there by 10 points. The Roosters are coming up against the Knights. James Tedesco comes back into the side, pushing Joe Minor to the centres, and Billy Smith going over to the other side of the centres, with Josh Morris being dropped due to poor form. Siasiwa Takiaho replaces Fletcher Baker in the side, and Angus Crichton goes into the starting side, pushing that butcher to the bench. For the Knights, Daniel Saifidi is back into that side. He takes the spot of David Clemmer, who moves over back to the bench. Connor Watson will start at lock, with Lachlan Fitzgibbon going into the reserves, and Swaso Su will take the spot of Jack Johns over on the bench there. And I'm going to go, in this game, I'm going to go the Roosters. I think they'll have enough talent in their side, getting Tedesco back and Takiaho to put away the Knights side, who are still missing Mitchell Pearce and potentially Kalen Ponga for this week. Cowboys coming up against the Storm. Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow initially was going to be starting at fullback, but has had surgery and will not be potentially with out for the rest of the season. So he's also gone as well, which is only makes things worse. So at this stage, we could be Mori Toalagi or Dejan Arce filling in that fullback role. Kane Bradley will come into the side on the wing to make his debut, pushing Mori Toalagi to the centres, taking the spot of Javid Bowen, who's done his ACL, and Hila Luki will take the spot of Peter Holler on the bench. For the Storm, Cameron Munster has been rested, replaced by Cooper Johns. Ryan Pappenhausen is back on the bench, replacing Jordan Grant, who made his debut last week. Chris Lewis will start, replacing Dale Finucane on the side, who was concussed last week. Josh Adokar and Christian Welch come back into the side. Nelson Sofa Solomona will take the spot of Felice Kafusi, who's also being rested, while Dean Aramea will take the spot of George Jennings, who is out for 46 weeks with a PCL injury. And I'm going to go Storm this game. I think Cowboys have way too many reinforcements missing, and the Storm are just going way too good at the moment. So Storm by 20+. The Rabbitohs coming up against the Warriors. Now, Jackson Paulo will take the spot of Alex Johnston on the wing, who's out for 2 to 4 weeks with a hamstring injury, while Josh Mansfield takes the spot of Tane Milne off the bench, who moves over to the bench. Latrell Mitchell comes back in the side, replacing Blake Saff, while Jai Arrow makes his return on the bench there as well. For the Warriors, a lot of changes here. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is out after that concussion, so Cody Nikorima will turn to the starting side at 5'8". Adam Poppe will come into the centres to take the spot of Rocco Berry. Tohu Harris is out for the year as well as Wade Egan. So Jez Tavaga will move over to hooker. Jack Murchie will come into the second row, and Josh Curran will move into lock, while Bunty Afawa and Taniela Otukolo will be the new faces on the bench for that game. And I'm still going to go the Rabbitohs this game. I think they'll put in a lot better performance, get some experience back with Josh Mansour and Latrell and Jai Arrow from what they've been missing last week, and should be able to put the Warriors, who are missing a lot of key personnel, put them away, and should do about 18 points. The Seagulls are coming up against the Tigers. Tom Dvojevic will take his spot back at fullback, pushing Ruben Garrick to the wing and Mercer Sully on the extended bench. Daly Cherry-Evans comes back into the side, taking the spot of Dylan Walker, who will move back to the bench. Josh Schuster will go from 5'8" to the second row, with Carl Lawton dropping out of the side after injuring his back, and Jake Javojevic is coming back at lock, which see Sean Kepi go over to the bench. Josh Aloye comes back for his first game in a couple months. Taniela Paseka and Tolfa Sipley will swap from the bench to starting, and Kurt DeLuey and Kate Cuss will drop to the reserves for this game. For the Tigers, they're 1-17, and with all those reinforcements coming back for the Seagulls, they'll put the Tigers away by 20+ as well. Panthers coming up against the Broncos. Jerome Luai will return this week, taking the spot of Matt Burton, who will shift to the centres, and Brett Naden dropping to the reserves. For the Broncos, Thomas Flegler, Jordan Riki will move to the starting side. Reece Kennedy and TC Rabadi will go to the bench, while Corey Pay will jump over to the bench, taking the spot of Jesse Arthurs. With Jerome Luai coming back into that Panther side, while they're still missing Nathan Cleary, I think the Panthers will do it, and do it comfortably by 16 points. Dragons will be coming up against the Titans. A lot of changes here for the Dragons and for the Titans. For the Dragons, Corey Norman is suspended, taking that 1-game suspension for the barbecue incident. Will be replaced by Jaden Sullivan. Matt Duffy will come into the side, pushing Tyrell Sloan to the extended bench. Tyrell Fumaono makes a return, who comes onto the bench, and Kate Ellis will move over to 18th man. Cody Ramsey and Gerard Bill move from the wings to the centres. Jack Bird goes from the centre to second row, and Matthew Feargal will take the other spot on the wing, with Braden Williami dropping out of the squad. Jack DeBellin will go from the front row to the bench. Josh Kerr will shift from the second row to prop, and Josh Maguire moves from the bench to starting lock, and Jackson Ford drops out of the squad as well. So a lot of changes there for the Saints. For the Gold Coast Titans, Philip Sammy is out, being replaced by Greg Marzu. Jamal Fogarty is out with a hand injury, being replaced by Toby Sexton, who is making his debut this week. And Aaron Clark is out, who's being replaced by Mitch Rain. And Mo Fodareka will come back to the starting side, with Jamin Jolliffe moving over to the bench. Tough game, this one. Out of the two sides, I'm probably going to have to go the Titans, even though they are missing key personnel. Actually, I'm going to go the Dragons. I'm going to go Dragons by 6. I think it'll be a close game, but I think Dragons will put them away by 6. With a lot of changes they got there. And Matt Duffy come back into that side with Corey Norman suspended, which is kind of good for them. Get to see a bit of Jaden Sullivan. I'm excited for what this side can do, and they should be able to put away the Titans. Last game of the round, Bulldogs coming up against the Sharks. Jeremy Marshall-King will return from suspension, which will push Tony Katoa to the extended bench, thank goodness. Avasi Manafagai was promoted from the interchange to start in the front row, with Luke Thompson switching to lock. And Josh Jackson goes into second row, and Joe Stimson jumping onto the bench, with Matt Dewey being replaced and moved to the reserves. Toby Rudolph for the Sharks will come in from lock to replace Aidan Tolman at prop, who's suspended for 1 week. Jack Williams will go from the bench to the jersey 13, and Royce Hunt will play his first game of the year off the bench there. Getting back the Bulldogs to win by 8 points. I think we've beaten the Sharks already once this year. I think we can beat them again, and this will be the week that we will get that win. Guys, thank you for joining me in another episode of League Chat with the Stat. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet to do so already. Make sure you like our pages on Facebook and Instagram. We're going to be rolling with it. We're potentially dropping out more merch, so stay tuned for that. And appreciate you guys joining me again on another great episode. As I said, you guys want to jump on, and if there's anything you guys need, send an email to leaguechatwiththestat@gmail.com. Even leave a comment on the Instagram page, in the DMs there, or Facebook, and let me know if there's anything you want me to discuss in length or talk about. We'll go from there. Appreciate you guys joining me again. Thank you so much. Have yourselves a good week. Enjoy round 19. We'll see you back next week. Take it easy, guys.